Okay, so again, you need these two things so that we can start our practice off with some really good breathing. So take a moment to get into a comfortable seat. Find enough support underneath you where you're at ease, and just take a moment to close your eyes and find that sense of groundedness that in a good posture gives you, and find your roots. So just drop some energy downward. And from that rooted place, you know how we see those images of trees where the branches that are above are the roots down below. So imagine, the balance of the deep grounding and the expansion. Remember, expansion and grounding both require surrender and ease to cultivate them instead of a sense of force or push. Just allow. And notice, here we are first thing in the morning. Maybe you haven't done much to move your body yet. And just pay attention to how you feel. Are there places in your body that you could use some refreshment or some opening? Are you feeling stiff or stuck anywhere? And no worries. So try not to, when you take note of these places, try not to attach to any sensation that you have, but just an awareness of what is in this moment so that we can pay attention to how our yoga practice shifts things. So as your eyes settle behind their lids and your brain starts to recede a bit away from your skull bones, let your perception skills kind of take a break and draw just down and inward a little bit, retreating. Become aware of how you are breathing. So ready. Let's bring the hands together at the heart. Just allow the centering to support you for a moment. Create an intention. Release your hands. Let's go ahead and find our way onto our back. All right. So as you stretch out, let's remember that our practice should be enjoyable and feeling like it's supporting our well-being. So anything that you want to do or to do, you're welcome. All right, so first let's just get into that sense of stretching out and lengthening on the ground. And reaching your arms overhead, reaching your legs. You have a sense of length, maybe stretching one side for a bit, stretching another side for a bit. So you just have this open awareness of your sides. Maybe already it's changing the shape of your spine and the way you're naturally breathing. And then draw your knees into your chest and rock a little bit, swaying from side to side. Let's hang on to the knees in circles, kind of rolling in one direction, rolling in the other. Just find this sense of ease across your sacrum. Let's open up the third way. So knees coming apart and bringing them back in toward each other. You it feels like to have this openness across your hip joints. All right, right knee into your chest, left leg long on the ground and move around in your ankles. So just going through our little warm up here of checking in, saying hi to a lot of parts of our body. Other side, left knee in, right leg long on the ground. And of course, if something is irritating to your body in some way, the pose isn't right for you, always make any modifications that you need. Okay, so let's stretch our limbs outward like a star, reaching into space, wiggling your fingers and your toes, opening your body up. And then when you're ready, bringing your knees into your chest, maybe picking your head up and drawing in. One more time, feeling that open space as you reach and lengthen. And then as you exhale, drawing your knees toward your chest and giving yourself a hug. All right, keep your knees in, put your head down, and just notice your low back. So we're going to get onto that rolled towel in a moment to do some nurturing to our vertebrae. So first, just give a good squeeze here. And then put your feet down onto the ground, arms out to the side, and let's windshield wiper our knees left and right. And so just releasing any tension that you feel through your hips, your pelvis, trying to get some ease flowing. All right. And then roll over onto your side, and we're going to grab our rolled towel. So if you haven't done this before, I'm pretty sure everybody's done this many times, but roll towel, 3 rubber bands on a hand towel, and we're going to start with this at our upper spine, and we're going to bring it down our spine with a little bit of rocking. So it's a very, very subtle massage. It's not like putting tennis balls underneath the muscles of your spine. So we're not doing very intense mobilization. It's much more subtle than that. And we want to start with our feet on the ground, knees bent. So first just get really good. And I'm going to take my socks off because I feel like you need some grippiness to do this. You want the feet to be your anchor points so that you're not doing pelvic tilts. So you want your pelvis to be fairly neutral in this. So just start by first rocking. We're pushing off our feet, feeling that north-south, top to bottom, rocking. Already, this is a good thing for your nervous system. So the roll towel is underneath, maybe the spine of your scapula, somewhere around your shoulder blades. And then the positions of your arms as you're rocking, hands start over your chest. So we're in a slight flexion of the spine. Keep rocking, pushing off your feet. And then arms come overhead, and we're in a slight extension of the spine. A little bit of a back bend feeling here. And then when you want to, you can bring the arms back up, and then we'll do a rotation. So we're turning our head and our arms over to one side, all the while rocking. And then the head and the arms over to the other side, all the while rocking. Okay, so this is just a really beautiful, slow self-care technique. So try not to have an agenda. And then when you're ready, you can move the roll towel down just a little bit. So now it's a little different placement under our shoulder blades. And repeat. So we're just going to keep rinsing, repeating. So as you do those 3 positions, remember the rocking. So we're gently pushing off our feet, trying to keep our spine and our pelvis in a nice passive place. And the arm positions are what do the work for our spine. So arms at your chest, arms overhead, and then each side. And you might veer off course. So I want you to really find the joy of this. So you might find places where you're like, oh, I could stay here all day. Then stay there a while. There's no rush to get this done. And even if you don't do your whole spine because you found a spot that you just totally love, then that's okay too. All right, so just remember that this is always available to you.
This isn't something they have to do only when I say it's time, which is, I don't know how many times a year we do this, but certainly not every yoga class. But you could do this all the time. Every day you could do this, and your spine would be very thankful to you for it. There's a lot of fascia, there's a lot of ligaments, there's a lot of tendons, and then, of course, the discs. And then, of course, the really important stuff like the nerves. I mean, there's much that is touched when we do this. So don't think it's a small thing, even though it may feel like a subtle thing. Are you paying attention to your breath at all? Can you accentuate good, healthy breathing while we're doing these positions? All right, now as you continually move down your spine, check in not only with your breath, but also check in every time you make an adjustment of the roll towel. Check to when you push off your feet and start rocking that there's some softness in your hips, in your pelvis, that you're not ripping your hip flexors and getting tired in your quads or feeling like there's movement is originating from the pelvis. You want to have this, try to master the art of pushing off your feet in a place of ease. Keep remembering the breath. It's amazing to me how different this can feel on different parts of your spine. And just notice, the parts that maybe feel a little stiff, a little tender, maybe places that feel amazing. And you're like, oh, where has that been all my life? There might be um, some unusual or unexpected places as well. And one of the places that always is a little not surprising, but I'm always aware of how uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Deep, expansive, effective, right at the diaphragm can be. So, kind of at that part of your spine where your diaphragm is located, where it wraps around the inner ribs, those lower ribs. When you get to that spot, try to pay attention to, even though you're not touching the diaphragm, with the rolled towel, there's definitely a translation into the attachments that land on your vertebrae and along the rib cage. So notice if there's a freeing of your breath somewhere. And of course, anytime you want to give up the arm position, if you just need to rest your arms for a moment or have some stillness in a different way for your arms to be, that's fine too. Remember, this is just yours. You get to make it however you want to make it. I'm sure you'll come across places that are a little bit more awkward, maybe don't give you quite as much sensation. And that's okay. So when you get down closer toward your lower back, the bottom rib cage and toward the lumbar spine, you may find that it's a very different kind of quality of sensation than it was when it was under your chest and shoulder blades. And that's okay. So just pay attention to the subtleties. Keep your breath moving. Remember to breathe deeply. It's very easy for us to just forget to breathe or to breathe shallowly. So consciously let your breath come in deeply and let it leave deeply. Sometimes it requires some adjustment of your clothing, some adjustment of your head, some adjustment of your feet placement. So, always seek comfort. And when you get down to the lower parts of your spine, you might feel that the arm positions are not as necessary. because, you know, they don't feel as profound of a impact, and that is true, it's not quite as profound, but it's still necessary. So still keep moving, you know, with that flexion, extension, and rotation. Even though it translates less, it will give feedback into your spine well. When you get to a place where you really feel like there's not much going on, you can hang on to your knees or behind your thighs and just do some little rocking here. And you can forgo the arm position when you get to that place. So that a little teeny bit of flexion in the spine by drawing your knees to your chest will give your back into the roll towel a little bit more. And of course, you can do some side, uh, and you can do some top bottom rocking. Now, I feel like whenever I teach this, I go fairly quickly because, you know, I'm just cognizant that we want to do some yoga also. But when you're doing this, you don't have to move quickly. You can just give yourself timelessness to do this where there's no rush. So you can really just enjoy what you're feeling. When you get closer to the sacrum, you know, after maybe a couple of passes in your low back where you're holding your knees and doing some rocking, um, you might get to a place where you can put your feet back down and the sacrum will receive the towel. When you get to the very bottom of the sacrum, sometimes you lose the weight of your body on the towel again. So when that happens, you can straighten your legs and push off your heels by flexing and pointing your feet, so that you get a little bit of pressure on that lower sacrum. And again, even though when you get to your sacrum, you may feel that the arm positions are not important any longer, do them anyway. Never underestimate the power of some rocking to impact your nervous system. Sometimes you might think, oh, I really just want to do a whole bunch of strong yoga, and she has me lying around on a towel. And then I bet you'll be very thankful that you did so. So never underestimate the power of restoration. You know, when we do these practices that restore us on deep levels, they're worth their weight in gold. And I hear gold just got a little bit more weighty in value, so even more. They're worth their weight in gold. All right, so I'm down at the bottom of my sacrum now, so I've straightened my legs and I'm pushing off my feet. Maybe you're still in your mid back, and that's okay. Okay, so you can do this for as long as you'd like, and you can pause and stop at any point in your spine. And again, doing this for longer can be really, really nice. Once you are done, lie down either with your feet on the ground or your whole body on the ground in stillness. And you might have a feeling of like taking ice skates off and getting on land after ice skating, you know, where you feel like you're still moving a little bit, but just allow stillness to take hold. Fill up your breath, empty it out. Just be aware of what your body just received. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. And you can take a big stretch if you want, or just roll over onto your side and come up onto your hands and your knees. We'll do some work with the ball in a little bit. All right, so finding a cat cow and just very gently, we've already done some subtle, smaller movements, but now this is a big movement of the spine where we're kind of sweeping the wholeness of the vertebrae together instead of articulating one at a time. So just notice the arc of rounding your spine and the arc of arching your spine and its impact on your head and your pelvis and your throat and your shoulders. And then feel free to move around any way you want to move around. Wag your tail, circle some things. And then we'll stretch down towards child's pose and walk the hands far out in front of you. And reaching, feeling that openness through the spine. Feel the tail lengthen. Let your breath travel along your spine. And then walk the hands over to one side or the other so we have that side body length, opening our lats, opening our breath, opening our ribs. And take advantage for your breathing. Come to the other side when you're ready. Coming back to center, lift up into dog pose. So extending through your body here. Let's pedal your feet, dropping one heel, dropping the other, kind of going back and forth where we have a sense of openness through our feet, our calves, all the way up into our hips. Feeling the fullness of your back body, the groundedness of your limbs. So hands and feet rooting. Legs and arms rising. Feel your head drop. Feel the fullness of your spine, the fullness of your breath. And then come back down onto your knees. And before we get up off the ground, we'll do a little bit of work with the rolled ball. You've all done this with me a fair amount. We're going to start with it underneath the right rib cage. All right, so we're going to do two placements. I have a block under my head. I like that, but you might have your head on your arm. And we're going to have a place where the ball is smushy and underneath the upper rib cage, and then we'll move it down to the lower rib cage. So two spots. And before we start breathing deeply and kind of letting the ball yield, let's just go back and forth on the ball. So kind of rolling your body forward, rolling your body backward, just getting a little bit of that massage that we felt in our rib cage. In our vertebrae, we'll now get a little bit of that in our rib cage. And then pause here for a moment. And you can have your hand on your side, or you can have your hand on the ground to support you, whatever feels most stable to your body. And see what you can do to just melt into the ball. Let the ball kind of fall into your body a little bit more. And just begin to breathe deeply. You can do the, version we've done before where you take your hand on your upper rib cage, left hand on upper left rib cage, so you can feel that mirroring where the rib cage kind of becomes a hoop where the ball can really impact the upper ribs, not just the lower ribs. Or if you feel more comfortable, you can just have your arm down. So noticing the ripple effects, like I can feel this in my liver. I'm not sure how, where your awareness goes when you're doing this, but mostly focus on your breathing. Sense into the viscera. Can you feel your lungs? A lot of times we can only feel our lungs when we're sick or when we're breathing really hard, like running or something. So hopefully neither of those conditions are present, and you can just have a nice, beautiful depth of breath. We're going to move the ball down to the bottom rib cage now, or not bottom rib cage, but the second lower half of your rib cage. So you place it where you'd like to have it. And then again, we'll roll just a little bit, kind of feeling a little bit of that, maybe even your fascia. And you can do this with on bare skin. That's a really nice way to work with these balls, is to put them on your bare skin, because you'll get some fascial um, work then, where the ball will kind of grab onto one layer, and you'll have some fascial movement. Remember, there's a lot of layers around your lungs. You have that pleural sac where before your ribs, so you have your lungs, and then you have the sac around your lungs, and then your rib cage. So remember that there's layers here that you're kind of working with as you roll. And then stillness when you're ready. And of course, you can put your hand on your ribs to have a mirror image. A full breath if you'd like. You can hold the breath for a moment and then release it, or you can just be at ease and have your arm wherever it's comfortable. The most important thing you're doing here is melting your head, your shoulder, your ribs, your mind. And the second most important thing you're doing is focusing on the big breath, that you're filling your breath and emptying your breath. Try not to shy away from the fullness of your breathing, but instead lean into the fullness of your breathing. You are touching a lot of nerves, a lot of nerve receptors, giving a lot of feedback to your nervous system that you're safe, that all is well, that it's okay to breathe deeply. When you feel ready, we're going to go over to the other side. So you can just roll over if you'd like, or switch sides, however is comfortable for you. Remember, we're doing 2 spots, and make sure this ball is, this is a good time to, if you felt like it was a little too inflated or a little too deflated, you can make an adjustment. Once you get it into that upper rib cage region, we can roll a little bit back and forth. Just finding this nurturing pathway. So again, it's never a waste of time to do these restorative practices. Sometimes, we just want to get our exercise on, and I get that. Feel our whole body move. But if we can take time for these more subtle things, profound things can really happen. We can have pretty profound shifts in our nervous system, in our breathing systems. Okay, so when you find stillness, your hand can come up if you want and have that mirrored image if you'd like, or you can have your arm down, whatever feels good. Make any adjustments you need. Breathing deeply. going. And when you're ready to move, and again, you might not be ready. You might be like, I'm just gonna stay on this ball for the whole practice and just explore. And there's so much you could do. And I really encourage exploration on this ball in your whole body. Kind of rolling around on the floor on this ball everywhere. It can be such a profound way of getting to know yourself and freeing a lot of fascia. So as you're now in the lower rib cage, maybe you have your hand on your rib to mirror it. Maybe you don't. Okay, and you can make any little adjustments that you need and just find that first is that sliding and gliding of rolling on the ball. And again, if you want to lift up your shirt and just kind of have a bare skin vibe with this ball, it's a really beautiful way to practice this. If you're ever having, some struggle with anxiety or just your nervous system's kind of on high alert, sometimes you need to kind of get your yayas out and just move, and that's beautiful. But remember this in your toolbox as well. That sometimes this subtler, more calming feedback to your nervous system can be a profound way to shift gears. All right, when you're ready, we'll go ahead and come onto our back. Actually, sit up for a moment. Sit on your block in Virasana or sit Sukhasana, however you want to sit. And just pay attention to everything that, we've spent a half hour kind of nurturing our vertebrae and our ribs. Notice what this feels like. As you start to become a little more in touch with your breathing. Does your breath feel more full, more complete, more capable? Are you more aware? Is there an ease across your diaphragm at all? All right, then let's translate this good feeling, hopefully good feeling, into some yoga poses. So hands on the ground again, and let's find our way up to a dog pose. Feeling that full extension, letting your body have a turn now, where we can reunite a lot of our limbs, all of our limbs, into the breath pattern too. And then come to Uttanasana. You can bend your knees a lot. Inhale for a halfway lift when you're ready. Bending the spine, maybe some pedaling of your feet here. Melt again. Then we'll push off our feet and come up all the way to stand. Reach your arms and extend them up overhead so you have that full length of your body now. And maybe a little bit of leaning back, maybe a little bit of cactusing. Just open up your chest now. And then reach your arms up, take them behind you, interlace your hands behind your back, open across the fronts of your shoulders, draw your shoulder blades toward each other. Take a deep breath here, squeeze the back body just a little bit, but not enough where you're pulling your rib cage and pushing it forward, still integrating. And then release the hands and fold forward. Hands on blocks, a halfway lift, melt and surrender. Just letting your full body kind of warm up into what we've already done, kind of integrating right foot in front, left foot behind. Place your knee down, open up across that hip flexor, stretch open, press your front foot, rise up, arms to the sky. Find your breath. So here we are in this extension. And then let's take our arms into flexion. So interlace your fingers, press your arms forward, let your back round a little bit, ground through your feet. Inhale one more time, up, rising. And then take a twist while we're here. So turning to the right, you can be very gentle with this. You don't have to have an extreme movement. And bring your hands down onto the blocks. Lift your back knee up off the ground, a full lunge. Open heart. Let's bend and straighten the front knee so we find our way to opening through our spine, opening our hips, opening our hamstrings. Just a little bit of mobility. Let your breath guide. Going back and forth through a bent knee and a straight leg. Come to a lunge, rising up, crescent lunge now, a fullness. Reach up, maybe a little bit of back, reaching back, and cactus the arms. Press forward, that roundedness of the spine. Inhale, coming up again, twisting one more time to the right. Arms out to the sides. Inhale, reaching the arms up, turn sideways on your mat. Lean forward, Pasrita, hands on blocks or the ground. Lengthen your spine forward. Legs are straight, feet pointing straight. Engage your thighs, lift your kneecaps. Inhale for a halfway lift. Melt, fold again. Turn back to the front of your mat. Coming into that lunge one more time, back foot comes forward, folding. A halfway lift. Notice your body warming. Exhale, full exhale, release down. Left foot comes in front, right foot behind. Place your knee down onto the ground, opening up through your heart. Feel that hip flexor open wide. Inhale your arms up, feel that extension. Feel the whole spine lengthen. And then come to take it into some flexion, interlace your fingers. Doing the opposite way, palms are facing forward, or sorry, facing your chest. And then round your spine a little bit as you press into your feet. Inhale, back up, back to the extension. And then let's take a twist. Forearm, hand, something on your knee. Keep the spine long as you lengthen open. Hug to the midline with your legs, press your foot and knee down. Come back to center, hands on the blocks, back knee lifts up off the ground. Start to bend and straighten your knee. Move with breath. Remember all the breathing we just accomplished. Keep that going, that fullness of your expanded rib cage. Letting the lungs touch the expanded rib cage. Feeling that pliability and mobility of your rib cage as you breathe. Once you're ready, ground yourself in the lunge one more time. Push off your feet, coming all the way up, reaching the arms to a crescent lunge. Find your breath. Open up, maybe lean back a little bit, maybe you cactus the arms to feel that extension of the spine, and then press forward to feel that roundedness a little bit of the spine. Our legs ground us. Rising back up again, twisting to the left. Arms out to the sides, shoulders down, breath is full. Okay, coming back up, one more time, turning to the side of your mat, hands come down. Let your spine grow in length like a waterfall. Root into the four corners of your feet. Come to a halfway lift here. Melt again, maybe you adjust your feet, we're gonna turn our toes out, deep squat. Elbows inside your knees, lengthen through your spine, ground your four corners of feet. Breathing well. Inhale, come all the way up, starfish your body up in the air, a full length here. And turn your right foot out, Virabhadrasana 2, Warrior 2. Maybe a little bit of mobility here if you need it. You can let yourself go into the pose and come out. And once you find your pose, remember all this work we've done with the spine and the breath. Expand into your outer ribs. Drop the shoulders. Feel the full length of your spine. The fullness of your breath. Drop some weight into your feet. Let's reverse our warrior here, rising up through that rib cage, opening up and lengthening. Back into Vira 2. Round through your feet. Feel the shoulders relax down. Heart stretching open to fingers. And come back up. Relax your arms for a moment. Bring them down to your sides as you adjust your feet to the other side. Take a deep breath in. We'll find our movement. So you can come in and come out of the pose a couple of times, just lubricating that hip joint, letting your body know that this mobility pattern is safe in your body. So when you ground, when you feel your pose steady itself, are you where you need to be? Are your hips in good alignment? Can you relax your shoulders? Can you feel that you can both drop your shoulders down and expand through your sides? Stretching from your heart to your fingers, expanding your ribs outward as you breathe. Drop some weight into the feet. Feel that deep grounding, the work of your legs. Enjoy the work of your legs. Your upper traps are nice and relaxed. When you feel ready, reverse your warrior. Feel that side body lengthen, stretch, reach into it. And then come back to Vira 2 again. Rounding through your feet. Breathing well. And then come all the way up to a standing star. Feet point forward. One more time, come down. Pasrita. Let your head bow. Feel the waterfall. Full breath in. Full breath out. Turn back to the front of your mat for a long, extended dog pose. Full breaths here. Pedal your feet if you'd like. Feel that fullness in your hands. Thigh bones up and back. And let's come forward into a plank. You can always put your knees down if your core needs some support, if your shoulders need some support. Feel your shoulder blades drop down the back. Okay, let's lower ourselves all the way down to our bellies. Roll the shoulders a few times so you feel that openness. Inhale for cobra pose, chest opening broad. Exhale, floating back down. Any variation that you want. Maybe you want your arms to stretch in a different plane to find another back bend. Open up wherever you are. Exhale, coming back. Come up onto all fours. Wag your tail. All right, take your blocks, line them up next to each other, elbows on your blocks. Draw back, thumbs toward your spine. So we're in a child's pose. Your hips might stay a little higher. Just see what feels good. Our elbows are grounded on the block and we're opening up through our triceps, letting the back open. Feel that back bend that lives in this posture. Breathe deeply. Okay, come out of there, back onto all fours for a moment. Move through some cat cow or any movement of the spine that's right. We're gonna come up onto our shin, our right shin, left leg out to the side. You can always put a block underneath your toes if you need a little support. Okay, otherwise your foot can be on the ground. All right, take a deep breath in. Big pose, reaching that arm up. Let's find that side body stretch. Press your shin into the ground. Relax your neck. Full breaths here. Come back up. Put your right hand on a block and stretch the opposite way. Feel that fullness of your side body. Root down through your foot. You can turn your foot forward if you'd like. Breathing well. And then come down onto your shins, two shins, child's pose. Inhale, up onto your shins, arms to the sky. Exhale, trace down through the center. Let's switch sides. Foot out to the side, left foot out to the, or right foot out to the side. We're on our left shin now. Press your shin into the ground. Reach the arm, left arm up in the air. Try not to stick your hip out so we're staying in line. Extend up and over. Think less about going down. Think up and over. Press your shin, tailbone descends. Keep your neck neutral. How's your breath? And when you're ready to come out of that posture, place your left hand onto a block at whatever height. Just make sure it's nice and stable underneath you and stretch your arm overhead. You can turn your right foot pointing straight or you can keep it where it is, whatever feels good. Full extended pose. Root into your shin, finding your breath. Coming back. One more time, taking your shins together or your knees a little bit apart, whatever feels good. Child's pose. Breathe into the back of your body. Fullness of breath here. Come lying down on your right side. We're gonna put a block again under our head if you'd like, or your arm. Grab onto your left ankle and stretch your quad. Open up here. Tailbone descends toward your knee. Feel the quadriceps open and lengthen. Let your head get heavy. See if you can relax. You know, sometimes we ramp up our energy to manage working hard. And see if you can just do exactly the opposite, where you manage your energy to drop and surrender. Okay, bring your knee all the way up toward your chest, tuck your chin toward your chest, and then find neutral. And let's go to the other side. So you can just roll over if you'd like. Coming to lie on your left side. You can use a block under your head or your arm. Knees are bent, hips are bent. Reach and grab your right foot, top of the ankle, and stretch that quad back. Try to keep your knee in line with the hip instead of lifting it toward the sky. Stabilize through your pelvis. Keep your shoulder open so we're not rolling toward the ground. Stacking ribs, stacking shoulders, lengthening. Try to get every fiber of your quad to have a sensation. When you're ready, draw your knee in, tuck your chin. And let's come up onto uh, your bottom. Okay, so we're sitting for a moment. So take your legs, grab a strap. You can sit on the edge of a blanket if you prefer. Paschimottanasana, we did a fair amount of kind of opening up the vertebrae. And we just want to give them a chance to have some softness in this direction. So ground through your legs, wrap the strap around your feet, lift up through your spine, and come forward and soften this pose up. Make sure you're nice and stable, where your pelvis is in a good place. You're not pushing the lumbar spine out. We don't want our jelly donuts of our discs to push backwards. So we're staying fairly neutral in the spine, but then surrender just a little bit. Take it in micro movements of surrender, where there's an ease in the whole back line of the body without feeling like you're unduly kind of pushing the vertebrae backwards. We're just having a softness. Root into your legs, press your thigh bones down, flex your feet, tuck your chin. Let that whole back line slowly, carefully, gently open up. Back up to sit. You can take as much time in there as you want. When you're ready, join me onto your back for a twist. So as you lie down onto your back, we're going to put your feet on the ground, neutral spine. Feel free to pick up your hips and give your pelvis a little shake if that might feel good to your body. And then place your pelvis back down and we'll twist. So hips over to the right, knees come up and drop left. Breathing deeply again. This is so slow and surrendery. So try to just softly, gently move your body into its twist. Unfurl your head, let it turn all the way if you can. Support anything that needs supporting. Back to neutral, hips over to the left. Bring your knees up and drop them to the right. Full breaths, both full inhales, full exhales. Let your twist unfold. Center, and let's find Shavasana. So as you lie down, you might find that you don't want to be flat. Maybe you want your calves up on a chair. Maybe you want a bolster or some blankets under your knees. Maybe you want to be totally flat. Just kind of experiment, ask your body what it needs. And of course, if there's something else, we didn't do any hip stretching today. So if you want to squeeze in a quick little reverse pigeon pose, if your body's really asking for a hip stretch, by all means, follow what you need. And then check in and make sure your body's feeling good on the ground. Okay? Is there anything that you need to do differently? Let your breath fill and empty. Feeling a sense of surrender. Breathing. Wiggle your toes and roll around in your ankles. Wiggle your fingers and roll around in your wrists. Maybe a big full body stretch is in order. Maybe you'd like to curl to a ball. Maybe you'd like to come to your side. Take your time for transitioning. So as you find your way to a comfortable seat, for just a moment, put your feet together, knees up, wrap your arms around your knees, just bow inward. Breathe into the back body. Then, as you sit up comfortably, breathe into your sides. Find a comfortable way to be. And when you're ready, place your palms together. Let's offer the gifts of our practice, a sense of nourishment and repair, awareness, presence, all the things. Let's offer these gifts outward. Namaste. Thank you, everyone.